And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the analysis desk. So, earlier on today, we had a Twitter question for you, and we received plenty of interesting responses.
Yes, we did, Demon. So the question was, which region will triumph at the All-Star Tournament and why? And we got some really interesting Twitter responses.
Yeah, so the first one is apologies ahead. Zuza Alm. Zuza Alm? No. It's going to be Europe will win the All-Stars, so as is the best top player in the world, and Alex Ich on mid lane. Nothing more to say. Go EU.
That's some ballsy words right there, saying so as is the best top laner in the world and Alex on mid, but
yep, Stanley, Salme, you know,
there's a lot
of
other people.
I could mention Dyrus as well. That'd be good.
Ambition in the mid lane.
Yeah, but he's not a top lane.
but also Alex in the mid lane. That's the
I list up all the top laners and you go for a mid lane. It's all good. It's okay, Jason. Everybody else is following at home.
I was like, let's take the easy way out. Let's just say mid laners because I don't know any more tops.
Yeah.
We do have another response from @WileyKit, and she says North America because they have the most diverse collection of players, which will give them more play styles and strats to work with. And what do you think about that? Because you've actually spent time over in North America casting NA LCS. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I can see where she's coming from because, yes, you know, the fact that NA get to work together, like we've already mentioned, they're going to go in that house in the Curse House in Vegas. They all speak the same language. I don't know about more strats. Maybe they're going to be different resources because, you know, you got obviously the Protect the Double Lift. Scar's got a very different style for Dignitas. There's a very different style for TSM. You know, all the shot callers coming in there. And then, of course, St. Vicious is going to be making the calls as well. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're going to have different styles, but then you could see the aggression coming out from the Gambit guys. Who knows?
Yeah, and we know they can put out a lot of aggression. If you give them a finger, they'll take the whole arm.
They can indeed. The final Twitter response actually coming from our very own community cartoonist. It is Skyan, and he says, EU will beat North America, but I feel the language hurdle will trip them and the Asian teams who are typically so coordinated. Well, interestingly enough, that would be lovely, but unfortunately, we know who plays each other, and unfortunately for them, North America, they face China in the All-Star, and Europe, they face Korea in the All-Star, so they don't actually face each other. It's going to be very much an Asian cross-mix between the two. So North America versus China straight away, that's a tough call.
Yeah, it is, but Europe, I think they have the better out in that one, because we saw Gambit at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice beat Azubu Blaze and Frost back-to-back 2-0.
Well, yeah, but also when we go to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships, didn't quite work out the same way.
Well, let's forget about that one. Just focus on the positives.
Let's focus on the positives and forget the negatives. But we do have our final match of the day, and well, what an absolute stonker it is for you guys. It's going to be Fnatic versus Evil Geniuses, and to take us through the game, it's going to be Joe Miller and Trevor Quickshot Henry.
For the final time in the Spring Split, it's time for Fnatic versus Evil Geniuses. The last time these two met, Fnatic got destroyed by EG. Every time EG made a play that game, Trevor, they were either kills or some kind of objective that they managed to pick up that one. Yeah. And they, throughout the course of the game, never really let go of that kind of control. They've not quite been able to do the same here today. Obviously, they lost earlier on to Against All Authority. And to be honest, EG really need a couple of wins here from their final games to stop them slipping down that table.
Every game they lose puts them closer and closer to the Copenhagen Wolves. They run the risk of actually dropping down. Fnatic, on the other hand, managed to keep up their unbeaten run against SK Gaming, winning their 18th LAN match and their 4th this season of the LCS alone. Fnatic hold on to 2nd place, and they are guaranteed a top 2 placement this split because of their win-to-loss record. And this match against Evil Geniuses is for bragging rights and swag points.
Well, we're going to see if Evil Geniuses can pick up another win over Fnatic. But before we do that, let's have a look at the full lineup. Starting with Fnatic here on the blue side with Soaz, Cyanide, Xpeke, Yellow Star, and N-Rated.
And of course, for Evil Geniuses, Wicked, Snoopy, Froggen, Yellow Pete, and Crepper.
So, the unsung hero, in my opinion at least, of Fnatic and one of the more solid junglers in the scene. Cyanide is our man of the moment for Fnatic. He's currently the 2nd highest goal per minute, coming into this week at least, of all junglers at 279, and he's a full 18 gold per minute ahead of the 3rd place.
So he's the only sitting behind Diamondprox, who is the all-star jungler, and at the start of the week, he had the 3rd highest KDA at 4.63, and he performs well with a wide variety of champions. He's also been known to steal dragons and barons more than most. Unfortunately, earlier today, he wasn't able to steal with that Dr. Mundo of his. And like we said, he didn't have an impact against Evil Geniuses last week, but he does tend to have a very big impact on their matchup. And we'll see how he plays in this game because we've seen him with Dr. Mundo. It was a great performance earlier in the day.
Well, Froggen for Evil Genius is a player that has been extensively watched, and many wonder if he should be getting more involved in those team fights. Last weekend, of course, he was a key component in their victory against Fnatic. However, he didn't carry that through into the next game against the Giants.
No, and same again earlier today. He played Lux, and while his early game was particularly good, once you hit the mid and the late game, he wasn't able to snipe off members of Against All Authority with that laser. And one of the things we keep pointing out is that he simply hasn't had that much of an impact on all of the EG matches. He's got some of the lowest deaths of all mid laners, even though his KDA is very good. It's because he doesn't get involved. It's because he sits back, he plays long-range champions, and he sits on the fringes. He's going to be required to take the helm once more, like he did last weekend, to help his team secure a victory.
Well, one thing's for sure is that Fnatic's last game didn't go to plan against Evil Geniuses. The game was won in the end by that amazing backdoor from Froggen. Are we going to see any more of that today? It's definitely possible. Well, let's see what the players had to say about it.
Last time we played against EG, we didn't have a real strategy, and yeah, they surprised us. They had good picks, they got us a level 1, they denied us really hard.
The match against Fnatic last weekend ended the way I backdoored 2 Nexus turrets and the Nexus, and I had no clue what actually happened in the team fight. I just realized, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Can't get away to this one. He's going to get taken down. The minions are on the Nexus.
It felt bad that Froggen backdoored us, but we can show them who are the kings of backdoor.
Well, we heard a very excited Demon at the end of that one. I'm not sure I can even go high enough to replicate that sound, but if we see some of that today, maybe I'll give it a try. But before we get into the bans and the picks here, what are we expecting to see between EG and Fnatic?
Evil Geniuses have no idea what to expect, because earlier in the day, we've seen a completely different composition from Fnatic. They were running Dr. Mundo in the jungle. They had Urgot and Blitz in their duo lane, and that's just going to cast a massive shadow of doubt against Evil Geniuses. You've got the regulars, the stalwarts that you are going to be banning out, the likes of Nasus, Twisted Fate, Zed, Kayle maybe. It's a number of picks that...
Kassadin.
Yeah, Kassadin as well. A number of high-priority picks that are fairly common. Against Evil Geniuses, we might see Lux being banned out, but Fnatic, after seeing Froggen earlier in the day, they may actually say, well, we're not that worried about it. So, you know, we'll just have to see, have Fnatic prepared another innovative composition to deal with Evil Geniuses?
Well, they'll not want to slip to another victory in this one, to another defeat, sorry. A slip to a victory might not be all the worse for them in this one. So Fnatic, of course, on the blue side, they have first ban, first pick, and the first bans coming out here will be Lux for Fnatic, Kha'Zix then for Evil Geniuses, moving then into Thresh for Fnatic, and Zed from EG.
Twisted Fate is still available, and I don't think Fnatic will be banning it out. I imagine they're going to leave it to Evil Geniuses to ban, or they may first pick it. Shen is also still in the pool of potential champions, and I do want to highlight Kayle because we've seen him a number of times today. Kayle's always been a champion that was super popular at the beginning of the season, sort of fell off a little bit in the mid, but is still there in order to counter these insta-burst type of compositions. Yep. Anivia is a champion that has been open for Froggen a number of times, but doesn't actually have the best win-loss ratio. So it is still there, but again, it's not something we've actually seen Froggen picking up all that often.
Well, Kassadin will be the final ban, and Fnatic banning out Leona. So 2 support bans there from Fnatic. And Crepo is saying, well, if you're going to do that, that's going to leave picks open for the rest of the team.
So Varus is still there, Thresh is still, Shen is still there, Twisted Fate. And now's the difficult decision. Yeah, Elise as well. Who do we pick and who do we give away? Now all of a sudden Evil Geniuses have to decide, of the picks, who do they want? If we do see Shen being locked in, that'll most likely be for Wicked in the top lane. He had some very good performances on Shen earlier in the season. Last weekend, the loss to Giants, he built Trinity Force first on Shen, and it was a questionable decision. There were many, many people saying maybe that shouldn't have happened. So I'd like to see how he decides to play it if this is locked in.
Well, plenty of time. Obviously, Crepo's going to have to go with something different this time around. He's been getting a lot of Leona recently, but that's banned out this time around for him, so he's going to have to change that one up.
So Lulu is still available. I don't think we've seen Lulu at all today, so that will be a first for the matchup in our very last game of the day. I know that, you know, Enrated has been running Nunu somewhat regularly, or of course support Elise is another option for Crepo, which we did forget about. If Nunu is locked in, once again in this patch, his ultimate has been reduced on cooldown from 150 seconds at level 1 to 110. So
Yeah.
it's a much more powerful, much more, I don't want to use the word spammy, but it's much more viable in the early levels of that particular ultimate.
Yeah, and of course, Crepo said not too long back when he was on the analysis test that he loves playing Elise because there's loads of buttons to press with the switch of stances there. So that is definitely a possibility to come out from this. But Twisted Fate locked in there for Xpeke Water Cyanide. And Xpeke here going to pick up as the second and third picks for them coming into this one.
So Nasus and Volibear are both still available for selection here. It's the first time we haven't seen really one of them being picked or banned. Volibear, he did get a little bit of an appearance earlier with a ban, but we haven't seen him being played all that much. And it is primarily due to that reduction on his Rolling Thunder, that the speed is no longer quite as powerful. And with the Nunu being locked in, it's just enrated falling to somewhat of a comfort pick.
You know what would make me the happiest man in the world right now is if that Nunu was on the top lane with Soaz and he went 1v1 against Wicked. That would make me a very, very, very happy Joe.
Well, Joe, I've seen that matchup before, and I don't want to spoil anything, but Soaz wins it.
Does he get first blood with an absolute zero, just another story?
And
I think he does. I've seen it somewhere before. I said about 144,000 of you, by the way. That was an incredible showing for that 1v1 in the midweek. But onto this game now, with the picks coming in for Evil Geniuses. Looks like we could be seeing a Jarvan.
So Jarvan is the other jungler that we've talked about and I actually forgot about while we're thinking about this. He's been sort of the secondary pick. If Snoopy is going to be running Jarvan in the jungle, he's going to need to be a little bit more calculated with his engages. Last weekend, he used Volibear very successfully against Fnatic and managed to pick them up a win. And I think I prefer Snoopy on Volibear to Jarvan. It's a little bit more of a comfort pick for him, and I feel that his Jarvan is a little bit weaker. He does tend to jump in a little overzealously in certain engagements. So a good pickup, and the second time today. So, one of those high priority picks is now on the table.
So what are Fnatic going to go with here as their last picks? There is the Rat for Yellow Star, maybe. I've seen a mixed bag from Twitch, to be honest, in the LCS so far this season. Been successful for some, not quite so for others.
So I think in EU, Candy Panda is the Twitch player that stands out in my mind in terms of who's played it a little bit more frequently than others. However, a couple of days ago, we did see Wild Turtle from TSM running Twitch and using him very, very well.
Come on. Don't be trolling us, N-rated. I want to see this Nunu going into that top lane.
Well, it's a possibility. It could be Peke. No, Peke's going to be on Twisted Fate. So if it is 5 seconds, Nunu top lane, we've seen it in a scrim. Okay, so it's not only in the 1v1 challenge that's actually happened. We've spectated a Fnatic scrim where they ran the likes of a Kennen and a Nunu and got that zone control. And as far as this composition is, it looks like Soaz is going for those swag points. He's going for the I won the 1v1, bro, and let's go for it.
Snowballs. Excited for this one. Nunu in the top lane by the looks of things here coming out full. So as we saw it in the midweek, is Wicked going to be ballsy enough here to take, who was in that one? Jace? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. The composition wouldn't fit. But giant snowballs indeed for Soaz. And like we said, they're guaranteed top 2. Fnatic cannot go anywhere other than first or second. And they can't take first unless they win more games than that of Gambit. If LeBlanc is selected, Froggen is going to hope to be Faker from the OGN, who just did such a phenomenal job.
Well, he is going to lock it in. So we are going to have LeBlanc here in the middle for Froggen. Pretty insane stuff coming into our final game of the day. We wouldn't really expect much different from Fnatic versus Evil Geniuses. This one is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Froggen is just going to be able to insta-gib Twisted Fate, Twitch, or Zyra instantly. When we watched Faker doing it at OGN, he was doing it against a Zyra as well, and he was one-shotting Zyra every single time. It was a 20-minute surrender on the dot because they simply couldn't deal with a 10-0-1 LeBlanc. And if any player can do it, it's going to be Froggen. So I'm excited.
I am very excited for this one. I hoped that we were going to see Nunu in that top lane just because of the history of this one, and also because I do like to play a bit of Nunu in the top lane. I'm not going to lie about that one. Usually, it's the Singed that I'm always rooting for, but since we've got that Nunu in here, since that midweek showdown that they had, very interested to see how this one's going to go. But let's concentrate on the game itself, and maybe specifically more towards level 1. And what can we really expect from this one? Because both teams, EG in particular, have said, come quite publicly and said they are happy with studying level 1s from other teams. And last week it was a face check, actually, from SOAS that got them the first blood.
It was a face check, and it's something that their own team has made mistakes about in the past. A couple of weeks ago, Wicked giving away first blood to Gambit, if I remember correctly. In terms of level 1, I think both teams have got pros and cons to them, but I don't actually expect too much funny business from these two teams. What I would like to see is whether or not there's going to be those lane swaps, those 2v1s. And very interestingly, Wicked has gone with teleport. So that's a flash teleport Shen, which is quite different to what we are used to seeing out of Shens. The fact they've got that global ultimate tends to mean they take the likes of an Ignite for that kill potential, but against a Nunu, who Wicked is well aware is very difficult to kill.
Can't move him out of the lane.
He's not going to pick up anything like that.
I'm really interested to see how this one is all going to go down. We are going to get into game. Of course, this is our final encounter between Fnatic and Evil Geniuses. This is current second place team taking on the current fourth place team. A win for Evil Geniuses would be a big boost to their season. Fnatic, of course, already guaranteed a top 2 position. So really excited to see how this one gets underway. And look at EG. They're actually moving with quite some haste down towards this bottom lane.
They've managed to get into position, and Yellow Star's about to face check. He's been caught.
He's going to face check in here. He's going to take a lot of damage from this one. He's going to cleanse off the stun. Can they get in there? The double flash. What a grasping root coming out of Enrated. That will save Yellow Star right from the start.
Yellow Star went invisible at the perfect moment. He could not take any more, he didn't take any more damage, so he was able to stealth and get away. But Flash and Cleanse is down. Candy, he channeled his inner Candy Panda from last weekend that snuck through the bush with that stealth. Wow.
Wow, indeed. Speechless after that one. An incredible, incredible start. We thought we might not see too much here from level 1. Totally wrong on that one as the repel comes in. And Rated gonna get cocooned up here. Can they get the finisher after he's managed to help the save in his AD carry? He will go down for the first blood here for EG.
So both members of Fnatic bottom lane trying to throw the early game. Yellow Star being caught out, and then Rated not anticipating that repel cocoon. You've got to remember that with Elise, the E doubles up. In spider form, you can use it for mobility, and in human form, you lock somebody up, and he used it perfectly. So great play from Crepo setting that one up. He only used his Ignite to ensure that the kill went down, but deserved first blood, and it went to potentially the best player of Varus. LeBlanc could have used it. Now 3 members of Fnatic, they want to challenge this red buff.
It's 4-on-4 if they do decide to fight here. Yellow Star going to take a lot of damage. Is he going to get flipped in? Yes, he is. Yellow Star going very low. Finished off here by Froggen. You don't want that LeBlanc to get rolling early on. And Fnatic look like they may want to try and get in there. Where's the grasping root here from Enrated? Stun card is ready for it. Xpeke cleanse away. Nice cocoon will land onto Enrated. But Crepo gets stunned up. But to be honest, Xpeke not going to have the damage to finish off. 2-1 EG.
So Evil Geniuses are going to be happy with that trade. They traded 1-for-1 in terms of kills, but now there are 2 carries that need to get strong. Both have kills. Twisted Fate was able to pick one up as well, so that's obviously going to help him out. But some very, very good grasping roots from Enrated allowed that play to happen. And crucially, they defended their red buff. So that will be there. Was it stolen away, actually? It may have been stolen. It's not on the map, so it actually may have been stolen.
So the interesting thing is now for the start of, level 1, they are pretty much all coming in here at level 2 anyway. 1-0-1, of course, for Varus. He's got double Doran's Blade plus pots coming in right off the start, and Twitch only got pots to use.
If a single cocoon lands from Crepo, that's going to be a dead rat. There's so much damage that's going to come down from Yellow Pete's auto attacks that you can then combine with the percentage HP damage of his own abilities plus that of Elise. So they need to be extremely careful in that bottom lane, especially because Yellow Star has no cleanse and no flash available.
Oh, we saw there at the top, Enrated actually going to get hit here by the cocoon. Didn't have the vision down, but no, Enrated, every little bit of damage is going to hurt him. We saw the elixir being used already by Yellow Star, and, well, it's going to be a tough lane now for Fnatic. There's no doubt about that one.
Yeah, very, very true. We had a quick glimpse of that top lane where SOAS was spamming out those ice blasts over onto Wicked. And you've got to imagine the psychological effect. Peck has been snared.
Yeah, is he going to get stunned up here? Yes, he is, but not going to have the damage to follow up. He, of course, did manage to start with that kill early on as well. Crystalline Flask and the water. Snoopy going to come rolling in. Peke got no mana really to stop this one from happening. Will use Barrier and Flash to try and get away as he gets the stun card on towards Snoopy. Has Cyanide now got the damage? Spirit Fire is down. Snoopy's starting to regen as a red card will slow them down. And that will be him getting out to safety. Hectic start.
So importantly, both passives they got proc, both of Froggen and of Snoopy. So if they manage to get some damage down, they can secure kills. Soaz and Wicked going toe-to-toe, and the psychological effect of losing that 1v1 earlier surely will be playing on Wicked's mind.
Yeah, one thing that Soaz now is not so much mana coming. Obviously, he did go for that Crystalline Flask, and with his passive, can get in there and gets every fifth, after every fifth auto attack, one ability in there for free as well, which you can either use for harassment or for just staying healthy as you like, chomping down on a minion.
And he hasn't put a single point into Blood Boil just yet, so 2 into Consume, 2 into that Ice Blast. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on that, because I'm sure our solo queue heroes will like to know how you play that Nunu in the top lane. Completely immovable object, but Shens tend to be an unstoppable force as well when they're in that top lane, so it may just be the two of them bashing away. If Shen uses his feint, he can block some of the damage, but they've caught Yellowstar.
They've got the repel down. Where is the cocoon? Crepo a little bit slow to switch off and get that one down. Grasping Roots, though, not quite getting the grasp on Crepo that they wanted.
No, a very anticlimactic little engage there coming out of Crepo, but I think he just wanted to scare them away. It didn't really feel like they were going all in. You can see that Ignite is available for Crepo, so if they do want to pick up kills, they have that available. Caught out in Rated, and again, just looking for some extra poke onto them, and look at the damage onto Yellowstar.
Yeah, gonna have to stealth himself up there just to avoid as much of that damage as he can, but most of it was already in, as Snoopy gonna be taking this blue buff off here at the start. And let's have a look down some of the items here, because it's that mid lane in particular that have really been picking up. Double Doran's Ring for both, the difference between the boots that Twisted Fate has. Crystalline Flask for both, no boots yet though on LeBlanc.
So the additional CS for Twisted Fate, as well as his passive, is owing to the fact that he's got that particular item set up. We see that Cyanide is coming for a gank in the bottom lane, but you know, a nice zoning cocoon from Crepo locked him out. Interestingly, from Xpeke, he's gone Flash and Barrier, so he's really afraid of the amount of damage that's going to come down from LeBlanc, and has opted to pick a summoner spell that can save him every couple of minutes.
Well, you might have seen on the left-hand side of your screen there that Soaz actually uses ultimate in that top lane. That was basically like, I'm going home. I'm going to ultimate all of these minions and get myself away with all that extra farm in there. He's going to come back into the lane with a Cage's Lucky Pick plus the Doran's Ring.
I'd like to see where this Cage's Lucky Pick actually goes to, because it can go into the likes of a Morella Nomicon, which is obviously going to help in terms of healing. That'll negate the passive of Volley Bear and any sort of sustain types items that come from EG. Or it could be even more interesting and go into something like a Twin Shadows, which will give some magic resist and allow him to chase. So he can Ice Blast one person, then send the ghosts after the enemy, and you know, really have a lot of fun with that item as pick. It takes a lot of damage.
Well, that is a LeBlanc for you. You are going to get bursted down, and Peke knows that he's going to have to play fairly defensive, definitely cautious if he's going to want to survive these little exchanges coming out from Froggen, who, you know, he's got to be offensive at this stage. He needs to get that CS in there.
So he's playing relatively well. He sidestepped the chains coming out there from Froggen. That was one thing that Faker landed from Korea every single time. Managed to land the snare and just get a full complement of damage onto his opponents. Froggen leveling up as is to be expected. The Sigil of Silence, the Q being your primary spell. And of course, once he's got that ultimate available again, you can expect him to go aggressive. It's a very, very short cooldown. At rank 1, it's 38 seconds before cooldown reduction.
And before that CDR comes in, as we see Froggen there farming nicely up underneath that tower. Volley Bear on the top side of the map, so may try and come in and stop Soaz's Nunu. It's currently 49 to 50 CS, so you know, Wicked, despite basically being slowed the entire time in this top lane, is doing a good job of keeping up with that CS.
So I think staying up late at night and being haunted by the memory of being defeated by Soaz's Nunu has allowed him to think of a counter. Shen being energy-based and having the ability to block a lot of the damage of those Ice Blasts with Feint is a great pickup. He can then sustain, Feint instantly as the Ice Blast is traveling. He can also regen, but Soaz has been caught, and here comes Snoopy.
Snoopy is coming into this one, but look at that!
Oh!
Soaz gets him blown up, and now Twisted Fate getting involved. Soaz going to run under there. There's the Ice Blast. The finisher going to come from the red card. Surely no, the passive is keeping him alive, and it will be Cyanide in the end that gets the kill. And that's the danger, you know. Absolute Zero does massive amounts of damage when you've got AP behind you.
It's so well played as well. Soaz managed to get a good channel on that, a couple of seconds up, pop the ignite, and then the ice blast to close out the kill. So a very good combo. We see Enrated almost being caught by Froggen, but he went just a second too late to catch out Enrated.
Heard on the stream the other night, Wicked saying, I can't do anything against it. You can't do anything against it. That's kind of the point of that Nunu in lane. You know, he's got good damage from the Ice Blast. He's got good healing abilities just coming out of his consume. Like, he's really an immovable object, and Snoopy's going to have to help focus in on that if they're going to, you know, get rid of the Yeti.
I remember hearing Snoopy actually saying on stream, Riot, please nerf Nunu. We'll see how this matchup goes. It's exactly like you said. He has damage, he has sustain, he has mobility, and it looks like he's making a Haunting Guise as well. So if that is the case, he's going to be hitting even harder with that Ruby Crystal and Amplifying Tome. Snoopy is going to be moving towards Dragon and they catch Cyanide a little bit.
That chain's missing, and actually we are going to see Froggen in a little bit of danger now from this one. His passive will pop. He's off towards the bottom side. You're going to keep doing damage. Cyanide goes down. Yellow Peter picks that one up. Soaz was in there as well. What's he going to be able to do here? There's the repel coming down from Crepo. He lands right on top. Another Ice Blast will drop Crepo very low. Yellow Pete having to cleanse away from this one. Peke still going in. There's a red card. Finisher from Yellow Star. Good kills coming down. A 2-for-1 for Fnatic, and it might not even be over. Peke was getting in there. Couldn't quite finish off getting in range.
No, good play from Evil Geniuses to maybe catch somebody out, but Fnatic were simply too close and responded too quickly. So they got in there, managed to pick up 2-for-1 and the mid turret. They're not finished yet because Peke's got that blue buff up. He can clear waves very, very quickly, and now they're going to carry on this inner turret. Snoopy is here, but he is alone, and he's not going to be able to defend against this many members of a Fnatic.
Yep, and when you're out of range of the turret there, they can hit you from inside of the turret range, and you can't get anywhere near them. That's 2 turrets taken down for Fnatic in a row. That brings their total now to 3-0. They're 5-3 up in kills. Dragon being started here by Cyanide.
So Cyanide does not have his ultimate just yet. It's something we see out of NASA's players. They tend to burn that Fury of the Sands while they take down the first Drake. They're a minute later than when Gambit were. And if you have a look at Xpeke, he's zoning out members of Evil Geniuses to buy time. A Grasping Roots comes up from Enrated. You can see just on the top, it slowed them, and it looks like EG want this fight.
Here we go. Varus going to try and get involved. The Cocoon not landing. And, well, they've managed to walk nicely away from this one. Soaz going to do absolute zero in that fight, and they walk away back towards that bottom lane. Unfortunate timing there. I saw what he was trying to do.
To be honest, everybody held their breath for a few seconds going, is this going to work? Is this going to work? But no, it only works for Team Empire all those years ago in the bottom lane. We'll see if Soaz can be cheeky and pull that one off in this particular matchup. But good thinking, good thought process behind it. Just wasn't able to pull it off in that particular engagement.
And that will leave us as Twisted Fate goes into this top lane to clear out 19.8 to 14.1. That's, you know, almost a 6,000 gold lead right now for Fnatic after everything's said and done with those towers, with the Dragon, with the 2 kills extra.
And of course with the Twisted Fate passive as well. You need to keep remembering it adds a good couple of hundred gold, you know, every few minutes as that ticks over. And one of the great things about it is it effectively pays for your wards. If you think about that bonus gold that everybody can buy 1 or 2 wards every, 7 or 8 minutes, it's earned from that passive of Twisted Fate. So it's a very, very powerful tool, powerful passive in the matchup. Right now, it does look like Yellow Pete's going to take out this bottom lane before Yellow Star can react, and that'll be their first tower of the game.
Yep, that turret is going to be taking a beating here. Yellow Pete just wanting to make sure that he gets all of that CS underneath it as the next wave comes in. That will go down. That's the first turret of the game coming out for Evil Geniuses, and Cyanide is trying to sneak away that red buff right now.
Cyanide, he's behind enemy lines. There's no one really close by. You can see that Froggen is roaming towards this bottom lane, and if Yellow Star hangs around a little bit longer, he could be in trouble. Crepa's going to throw out the Cocoon. He's caught.
He is going to get caught as he cleanses. Can he get away, though? No, he can't. It's Froggen that picks that one up. He's now 2-on-2 without LeBlanc. Haunting Guise in there. Twisted Fate, though, with Peke already got the Lich Bane.
So a point in Blood Boil has been spent there by Soaz. He threw that over to Xpeke. Fnatic are onto the inhibitor turret, and the rest of Evil Geniuses are going to back away. They don't have an AD carry with them right now, so it's a little bit slower to chunk it down. But EG have done nothing. It's a 13.5-minute inhibitor turret, and that means that inhib is open to be taken, or open to be expected, if you will.
You can't give that kind of objective away this early on in the game. I mean, just the vision that you lose from that middle lane, from the outer, the inner turret down, and having that open inhibitor is just an invitation to Fnatic right now, especially with that Lich Bane on Expeke. But that's a great pickup from Fnatic. They are now 22.8 to 17.3 thousand gold in the lead. Still only 1 kill, but if we look down the golden where it is at this point, 1,500 difference in the middle lane. Same story in the top lane. The AD carry is actually pretty level as Froggen is going to dive in there, picks up the kill on towards Enrated. You don't expect much less with the looks.
No, not
with a LeBlanc, sorry.
We knew what you meant,
I drew
Joe.
a LeBlanc there, sorry.
And of course, Zyra being so incredibly squishy just gets blown up. A Ruby Crystal has just been picked up by Enrated, so that'll help some of it. But Expect has been taunted.
Flash taunt in there, expecting a lot of trouble. He's going to get taken down. It's Froggen that gets himself another one. Here comes Soaz from the side. What's he going to do? He's got stunned up, but Crepo is now in all kinds of danger. Double kill. Here comes Absolute Zero, and there is the explosion of Yellow Pete. They take down Wicked as well. Froggen is now the last man left alive. Soaz has got no mana left in as Yellow Star is the one to take all the damage. And this is a bit of trouble for Yellow Star. There's the passive coming out of Froggen, but it is another kill coming in for Yellow Star. The ace for Fnatic in what looked like it was pretty good for Evil Geniuses under the turret there.
So effectively it was a 5-for-1 at the end of that. Evil Geniuses just being caught after they dove Zyra. Yeah, they blew the support up, but so what? The rest of the damage dealers were untouched and they were able to zone out the respective members. That Absolute Zero did a lot to hold the members of EG in place and just let Yellow Star roll through and pick up some kills. I really like Froggen's positional play with that little hop and skip, because of course on his W he can jump forward and then go back to his original casting position. So he almost caught Yellow Star out, but cooldown's just a little bit too high on the rest of his abilities.
So let's have a look at some items finished after that. Morellonomicon is in there for Nunu with that Haunting Guise. You've got the Bloodthirster now complete for Yellow Star as well.
So that's obviously going to be just giving him all of the sustain that he needs to survive, especially if he doesn't get blown up instantly by LeBlanc. He's going to need to back away, get his HP back up off some minions or some monsters, and then rejoin the fight. He's just picked up a Giant's Belt, so that instant burst potential has somewhat been negated because he really doesn't want to die super early. Destiny's available for Pekka, and he's thinking about going the mid lane, because you can see by Cyanide's positioning.
Oh, Froggen going to get withered up here. Is he going to be able to escape? Twisted Fate is coming in right on top of him. Will dash over, but now Soaz is going to chase in there. Actually, the wildcard did connect onto the back end of Froggen, but here comes Soaz around the corner. He's going to land the slow, but Froggen will again try and dive away. The wildcard's missing. They're chasing in. One more snowball will finish off. Soaz now on a killing spree.
Those wildcards flew a little wild, you might say, and were able to close out the kill thanks to the cooldown on that Ice Blast, but the fight isn't over. Wicked tries to taunt up Expeke, while on the bottom lane, Yellowstone and Rated pick up their 5th tower of the game. Fnatic wisely back away, but what a great zone control there. They used Destiny for vision, and you had Cyanide and Soaz catching him out.
Absolute Zero is in there. There's a stun card. Wicked taking a massive amount of damage, but Barris is there to lock them down. Soaz and Cyanide trying to get away. They go actually back in there. Not sure that's the wisest decision. And in the end, they decide against that one. They are stealing away this blue buff, though, and they've pushed that bottom lane right onto the inner turret.
The roles are reversed from last weekend's game. What we see Fnatic doing to EG, EG did to Fnatic. They are using Destiny to pick up kills. They are roaming around the map. They are not relenting control. If I channel my inner Joe Miller and talk about the pre-match show, but a great play by Fnatic right now, a 10,000 gold lead before this dragon is picked up. Crepo is a little bit, overextended, but Fnatic, they're not going to, really jump on that one. Instead, they're just going to keep control of the map, and they're keeping up the pressure on this top lane.
Yeah, keeping the damage coming down. And if one person is going to be split pushing, it's going to be Expeke. We've seen it time and time and time again from him this season in the European LCS. And now Yellow Star is even pushing out this bottom lane as well. And that's the trouble that EG have right now, is who's going to deal with this one? Yes, you've got Shen in there, but he can only be in one place at one time. The rest of the team need to be somewhere else.
Yeah, they're going to need to decide how they handle these compositions right now, because in terms of the carries, they have the ability to pick up kills, and very easily, because TF and Twitch, even with that Giant spell, can still be killed very, very quickly. Maybe not with a full combo from Froggen's LeBlanc. A little bit of extra damage may need to be required, but in these team compositions, they have the ability to do so. And as long as they can get an early kill and then not lose Varus and LeBlanc, they can actually win team fights. Twisted Fate, he does have a Lich Bane in that Seeker's Arm Guard, but he's not necessarily insta-killing people until we see that death cap being completed as well as the Hourglass.
So, mid lane going to be forced back by Evil Geniuses. We're only 18 minutes and 50 seconds into this one. And already a solid gold lead and kill lead and turret lead, everything lead for Fnatic right now. And now they lost, as we said last week, to Evil Geniuses, and their plan today was to do exactly the opposite and try and give them a bit of their own medicine.
Yeah, and especially when you consider that they are guaranteed that top 2 position, the amount of pressure that is off these guys' shoulders now, and we've seen that in those opening minutes. They pretty much just threw themselves at EG. Destiny is up and Peck is chasing.
Yeah, they're going to go in for Yellow Pete on this one. Shen will be coming in with Stan United. Will they turn it around? Yes, they've managed to get in here. There is Absolute Zero. They've all walked into it, but it's not quite got the desired effect. Soaz going to go on a rampage as he gets one. Can he get any more? Yeah, he will. There's another explosion. This time it's Elise that goes down. He jumps on a minion, turns around towards Wicked. Here comes Cyanide. Wither is down. He is going to die. He flipped from Snoopy, but Soaz is still alive here. He's going to eat another minion, and he's got a quarter of his health back. And now they go straight in onto that inhibitor. Yellow Star now is going to be going in. Easy kill on LeBlanc. Pray and spray. Spray and pray.
That's the one. Spray and pray indeed. But there was no... the only person praying in that engagement was Froggen saying, please don't kill me. It wasn't enough. He still got taken down. And, you know, Soaz is currently 5-0-7 with Nunu. Willump, the actual Yeti, is carrying, you know, Soaz and the rest of Fnatic at the moment. Such great play. He took on 4 members of EG. He survived, got 2 kills, and walked away with an extra assist in that particular engagement. Well played by Soaz.
And you see the power of Nunu. I mean, we saw it already on the... I don't want to harp on about that one too much, but the fact that Soaz has, you know, really said, we're going to play that against Evil Genius. I'm confident that Wicked, you know, from the way he was talking, how do I deal with it, suggested that maybe it didn't matter what he put against him in that top lane, that Soaz would have at least a mental advantage against him coming in. And up till now, well, you can't argue with it, can you? 5-0-7 currently with the Yeti, and EG on the back foot in this game.
Even if you remove the fact that Nunu is somewhat of a unique pick, you know, it's a different champion that we see in the top lane. And if we say LeBlanc, also maybe not your traditional AP mid, Nunu is doing incredible work. The rest of this team is genuinely countered by that ability. Crepo has the ability to use that repel and jump to a particular target. But if Soaz positions himself correctly, you can then zone out Crepo from dealing any more damage. He's used his repel, it'll be on cooldown, and the rest of it you've got to run in. We see Wicked's been caught out, and Yellow Star's going to pick up his 6th kill of the game. Does he have Expunge available in the red buff?
Yep. Yellow Star goes down. And now they're going to walk straight in towards them. Cyanide going low, but here is a flash in. Absolute Zero not doing as much damage as they would have hoped, but they're chasing down Yellow Pete. The Wither is in position. Froggen going to come in. Yellow Pete will go down. Can they get Froggen as well? It's Soaz that's chasing. Actually, he's changed position here. He's going to get Crepo as he repels over the top of the wall. And now Yellow Star getting involved as well. He will get the kill on LeBlanc. Elise goes down, and it leaves just Snoopy. That's 4 kills for nothing for Fnatic.
Absolutely 0. And the thing about that particular engagement, Froggen blew every single spell he had on Cyanide's Nasus. Fair enough, he is a big, scary dog running at you, but it did next to no damage to him. With that runic bulwark and all the HP from the Ruby Sightstone, it wasn't enough to chunk him down. The rest of Fnatic are surrounding the Nexus turrets. They've got the first one, they're turning onto the second, and this is going to be Fnatic going 2-0 today on Super Week Friday.
Looks like they want more kills though. Pecky going to take down Wicked. Snoopy's very low as well. One more card should do it. There it is. The red card will send Snoopy home, and Fnatic are going to be taking down the second Nexus turret. Can they finish the game here though? A lot of damage coming out from Froggen, and there is Yellow Pete being dove on. Crepo, I don't think he's escaping from this one either. Will use a repel. Soaz is still pushing in there, and they are focusing down the Nexus. It's all on Froggen now to try and do something with this game. He's going to get ice blasted. The Nexus will fall though, and Fnatic will beat Evil Geniuses as revenge for that loss in our last week of play. A great performance coming out of Fnatic.
7-0-12 on on Soaz's Nunu, unkilled in that entire matchup. And how many times was he behind enemy lines, taking on multiple members of Evil Geniuses? Congratulations to Fnatic, a very one-sided affair and a deserved win.
Deserved win, looking very, very good. We're going to go over to the analysis desk where Demon and Jason are ready to break down all the action from Fnatic versus Evil Geniuses.
Yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and fantastic performance there from Fnatic. And yeah, you got to brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a coming to solo queue and a ranked match near you.
The
maybe.
blizzard's coming.
The blizzard is coming. Winter is a coming. That's what you should have gone with.
But it's summer here.
Every time, all I was listening to every time I saw that was.
I was expecting that.
Yeah. He could have gone. He should have gone possibly with that bot. That's the favorite Nunu bot. But fantastic play. So we have one replay for you. We're going to jump straight into it because, frankly, that was a absolute masterpiece from Fnatic. Despite the really dodgy start, Yellowstar called out, managed to get away, did that little stealth. It was like SK Candy Panda all over again. He managed to escape there, and then N-Rated kind of walked back into it, gave them first blood, so we thought, okay, maybe it's on, but when they tried to attack them on the turret, it backfired horribly.
Yeah, and even at the red buff, we saw Yellowstar go back in.
Yeah.
He was stealthed up, but then he kind of just sat there like 1 second too long, and he unstealthed, and he's like, oh, crap. He just tries to run away, but obviously EG was able to pick up that kill. But that replay we have for you, it's about 14 minutes in. It's 5-4 currently for Fnatic. We have a 1-0-2 Soaz at this point. Obviously, it changes as the game goes on. But let's get the replay on your screen and show you what happens, because if you didn't catch it the first time, it's extremely fast. You see right here, Froggen, it's going to get the kill and rated. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to slow it down a little bit too, just how quick he blows up. Like, this is how strong Froggen was, but it didn't really matter because Soaz was stronger at that point. So we have EG, they're going to siege up a little bit more. We're going to see Xpeke get taken down as well.
And I should point out, actually, we talk all about Faker, but that's actually how he got a lot of his kills. On the support Zyra. That's how he got a lot of his kills. He went 12-0-2, but yeah, you got to take him where you can get him.
So we're going to see EG siege his turret yet again, and we're going to have Xpeke go down. So keep in mind, we had one person on Fnatic die already. Xpeke will get taunted up here. He will get bursted down as well with that ultimate coming out of Yellow Pete. This is where it starts to change around. Xpeke dies, and Fnatic's like, they're decently low. I kind of fancy my chances here as Yellowstar does finally come around. They go straight onto Snoopy, and they're going to pick him up. They're going to switch right over to Krepo. He's going to fall down as well. And the thing is, it's a 3-on-5 situation here, and Fnatic is able to pick up an ace off of this completely just with the lineup they have right now with that Bloodborne to Yellowstar, with the damage out of Soaz with that ultimate, doing absolutely tons of damage. And of course, Froggen trying to go for a nice juke right here. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Yellowstar plays it very smart, just sits in that bush waiting since he had the rest of his team chasing him down. And he's like, oh, hello, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic performance, and well, kind of just showed you really how Fnatic are top of the league. You know, they are back up there again. They are one game ahead of Gambit, though, so let's not get carried away. Gambit, once they have their equal matches, they may well be up there. This is a case of a race for first place, effectively, really, between those two. But MVP, well, it's no shock, really. It was, of course, Soaz. He proved why he was #1 in the European All-Star on Nunu, and he's done it once again against Wicked. Well, not really against Wicked, against the rest of Evil Geniuses this time. He got 7-0-12 towards the end of that. Fantastic performance from Soaz, pulling out the Nunu.
I really wish we can get an interview with Wicked and Soaz. They're just like, so Wicked, what was your thoughts seeing Nunu picked again? Oh, yeah, I practiced it. I got really confident, and then we just see Soaz just do very well. I mean, Wicked actually did a very good job in lane. Like, he was able to take the early harass out of Soaz, and he was able to actually push the aggression back at him. But you know, Soaz was able to get the items he needed to really turn the tides in his favor.
Well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, from us here at the Analysis Desk. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to get over to Shocks, of course, who is standing by with the MVP of the match. It is going to be Soaz.
Soaz, it wasn't enough that you beat Wicked in the 1-versus-1 and won the All-Star vote. You just had to pull out that Nunu against CG.
People were saying that Nunu was just for one-on-one. I just proved them it wasn't. That's all.
Okay, but seriously now, they pulled out LeBlanc who could just focus people down, and in the level 1, didn't go exactly as planned. 2 Doran's Blades to start off for Yellow Pete, so wasn't the easiest start.
The thing is, they got the first blood, that's true, but they waste a lot of flash, and we managed to still get our red and did a kill as well, so it was fine. And I think that PK managed to do really good against LeBlanc mid, and he didn't die, and we just killed, we did a double kill top and get a tower, and at this point I think we just snowballed the game after that.
Now, it's going to be a solo queue invasion, the Nunu, so quickly, what to level first, excuse me, what to build?
I take E and Q until level 9, and at level 10 I start maxing the Blood Boil, the W, so that's it.
All right. Now, of course, very important win here. You're guaranteed top 2 now. I asked Alexi, she's also guaranteed top 2, and he said, yeah, right now we don't really care. We're still going to play good, of course. So what's the mindset for you guys? Is that a weight lifted off your shoulders?
We want to be number 1. We don't want to be 2. So we just want to win every match.
All right. Thank you very much, Soaz, and good job on Nunu. Now, let's go over to Joe and Quickshot one last time to take us through today's matches.
Thanks a lot, Shocks. We are now at the end of our first day of Super Week. Of course, we have a lot of games still to come up. 6 tomorrow, 8 games, maybe even more on Sunday if we have any ties from that.
Let's actually explain that quickly, because
yeah, we should do that.
If 2 teams are tied for wins and losses, and their head-to-head record is 2-2 as well, they will actually play off against one another to determine who will advance to the playoff matches.
In a best of 1.
In a best of 1, correct. And if there are 3 teams tied in the same position, or more. Say, for example, Copenhagen Wolves against Authority Giants, and their head-to-heads are tied as well. We'll actually have a round robin after all 8 games on Sunday.
Which means they'll play each other again, which means 8 games plus whatever we have tied. Sunday is going to be an incredible day. A long day, but an incredible day that you definitely don't want to miss. But before we get on to what's coming up later, let's have a look at what we've seen today. The results, starting with Against All Authority, getting that shock victory against Evil Geniuses. Then moving on to Dragonborns versus SK. SK turned up with a job to do, and they did their job well.
Yeah, very, very true. They've managed to outplay the Dragonborns and really just shut down that poke composition. Against All Authority versus Giants was a hard-fought victory, but it was one that Against All Authority really seemed to be in control of from the get-go. Before we jump into match number 4, Fnatic versus SK, El Clasico once again, it was completely back and forth, and we were losing it. A great composition from Fnatic with that Urgot Blitzcrank combination really helped them secure that win.
Yeah, and of course our not quite final game, our penultimate game of the day, Gambit versus Giants, with Gambit coming out on top of that one. But again, another absolutely off-the-hook matchup, which Gambit, you know, rightly won themselves that. They actually got themselves up to that first place, but not for too long, with Fnatic actually getting in there as well. And then that obviously brought us on to our final game. Honestly, a bit of a one-sided affair, if we're going to be really honest about it. Fnatic, you know, they just came out flying, came out of the blocks absolutely flying, and never really looked back from that one. I think it was 23 minutes or so that they beat EG in there.
They really snowballed that game particularly well throughout the entirety of the match and deserved the win.
See what you did there, Trevor. Let's have a look at the standings, because they are the really important thing right now. And at the top, we see Fnatic are back up there. 20 wins, 5 losses, compared to the 19 wins and 5 losses that Gambit have right now. Again, though, that could all change. They've still got games to be played here over the next couple of days. In third position, SK Gaming, 15 wins for 10 losses.
And Evil Geniuses at 12 wins for 13 losses. This was one of the examples we talked about. SK versus EG is the very, very last game of Sunday. And if SK proceed to lose their next 3 matches, and EG proceed to win their next 3 matches, they will be even. They will have a best-of-1 playoff at the end of the day after their final game.
If, you know...
If it happens.
If it happens. There's still so many ifs and buts here. And then to go into the bottom half of things, Against All Authority, good couple of weeks they've had here. Dude making a massive difference, and they are now 10 for 15. The Copenhagen Wolves have slipped again a little bit here. They are 9 wins for 14 losses.
Now, I don't want to touch on that for a second, because Copenhagen Wolves did not play any games today. They play 3 matches tomorrow, 2 matches on Sunday. If they win the majority of those games, or, for example, they win more than Against Authority do, because they have less losses, they will have a better win percentage at the end of all 28 games, and they will overtake them in that position. But for the time being, they are 6th, and they will be facing SK in the playoffs. And the bottom 2 teams, Ozone Giants and Dragonborns, it's very bleak for the Dragonborns. I don't think they can actually make it out if I do my math very quickly. The Giants, however, there is still a tiny, tiny chance, but everything has to go right for them.
Yeah, a tiny chance it is at that. But, you know, it's all ifs and buts right now, and that's why you need to be here for both tomorrow and Sunday's action, starting at 2 p.m. Central European Summertime every single day. And don't forget, if you've managed to somehow miss all of the action today, you can find all the replays along with the recaps and the statistics over on lolesports.com. That's going to be it from me and Quickshot today. Thank you very much. As usual, Quickshot being a massive pleasure. We're going to go over to Shocks for some final thoughts here on Friday.
Amazing stuff here in that last game. So us pulling out the Nunu and, giving it to EG. Now, of course, this was only the first day of our Super Weekend here in Europe. We return tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central European Summertime with the return of the Copenhagen Wolves. That's going to be our first game of the day. The Copenhagen Wolves taking on the Dragonborns, followed by AAA taking on SK Gaming, the Dragonborns versus Gambit, and then the Copenhagen Wolves versus Giants, EG taking on Gambit, and Fnatic versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Of course, you don't have to wait till tomorrow for your League of Legends fix, as the NA LCS will be continuing at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 10 p.m. Central European Summertime for us here in Europe. Thanks from all of us here in the studio. This was the first day of our European Super Weekend. There's 2 more to come, so we'll see you tomorrow.